Hello and welcome to Bear News. I'm Michaela Lander.
And I'm Ashley Franco. Coming up on today's show, thousands participated in Denver's March for Our Lives rally last Saturday. One of our reporters shares her experience with us coming up.
Juuls are a recently popular alternative for smokers, and you see a lot of them around campus. Stay tuned for our investigative report.
We've got all that and more on this episode of Bear News.
Don't go anywhere. Students across the nation gathered to voice their vision for a future free of gun violence at the March for Our Lives protest. Bear News reporter Amanda Andrews traveled to Denver to check out the protest there.
Thousands gathered in Civic Center Park just last weekend with one message: enough is enough. Armed with posters, buttons, shirts, and flags, protesters marched to end gun violence. The movement was started by students in Parkland, Florida after the school shooting on February 14th. Now students in Denver are speaking up to inspire the same change. People as young as 11 years old took the stage, sharing their stories and urging the crowd to vote for a solution. Each speaker was met with deafening applause from the seemingly endless crowd filling the park. Unlike previous public responses to mass shootings, this protest focused on taking action at the polls. Nonprofits like New Era Colorado used the size of the crowd to register more locals to vote. Protesters also had signs opposing the NRA and local politicians who receive money from the organization to fund their campaigns. One speaker, Sam Craig, a student activist in Jefferson County, says, "I will make my voice heard. I have seen my friends stepping up across the nation to do what our politicians won't." After the final speaker finished, protesters marched north around downtown Denver, ending back at Civic Center Park. Reporting to you from Denver, this is Amanda Andrews, Bear News.
While students might not see the legislative changes they want immediately, one thing is for sure: their voices are being heard.
After 3 weeks of terror, authorities finally have some answers about the serial bombing case in Austin, Texas. Bear News reporter Amanda Andrews is live in the studio with details about the bombings and the tragic end of the bomber.
That's right, Ashley. Between March 2nd and March 21st, someone placed 6 bombs around Austin, killing 2 people and injuring 5 more. Police say the bomber disguised the first 3 explosives inside of packages, triggered by motion sensors when the victims picked them up. The 4th one detonated after 2 men in Austin walked through a tripwire tied to a for sale sign. Authorities discovered the 5th bomb at a FedEx sorting facility in Schertz, Texas, after it blew up on a conveyor belt. Law enforcement later found another package bomb at a FedEx near the Austin airport, but intervened before it could detonate. From there, the local police, the FBI, along with the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, worked together to identify 23-year-old Mark Anthony Condit as a suspect. The police and federal agents located Condit in a car in Round Rock, Texas, briefly before he drove away. He later parked near a ditch and set off a 3rd bomb planted in his own car, killing himself and injuring a SWAT team member. Despite national outcries to classify the bombings as domestic terrorism or a hate crime, the FBI says this case doesn't meet the legal requirements. Austin Police Chief Brian Manley says that in a 28-minute phone recording police found from the bomber, he does not mention anything about terrorism, nor does he mention anything about hate. Instead, it is the outcry of a very challenged young man. In the recording, Condit describes 7 bombs in great detail, leading police to conclude there are no other explosives in Austin.
Thanks, Amanda. Our thoughts go out to the families in Austin affected by this tragedy.
Well, spring break took an unexpected turn when a sexual assault happened near the University Center on March 15th. Campus police investigated the morning incident and found a male suspect who faces charges of sexual assault and unlawful sexual contact. The incident led to the scheduling of a #MeToo movement to discuss issues of sexual assault and harassment. The event featured a panel discussion with 4 familiar faces to the UNC and Greeley community, including Title IX coordinator Larry Lofton and Greeley City Council member Rochelle Galindo. The importance and longevity of the movement were key discussion points. Organizers read audience members' questions aloud, and the Assault Survivor Advocacy Program, or ASAP, counselors were available. The hashtag #MeToo movement gained global attention and isn't likely to slow down anytime soon. It's definitely springtime in Colorado with all of this rain. What are Greeley's current conditions, Michaela?
Hi, I'm meteorologist Michaela Lucero. Right now in Greeley, we're at 44 degrees with partly cloudy skies and winds at 5 miles per hour. For our 8 a.m. classes, tomorrow we'll be at 30 degrees, 35 for our 9 a.m. classes, and 40 for our 10 a.m. classes. So, we've all heard the phrase, April showers bring May flowers, but how much rain are we actually expecting in April? Well, the average is about 1.87 inches. And by the end of the month, the percent chance that we'll get precipitation will increase to 24%. I have the full forecast coming up, so stay tuned.
Tobacco companies have everyone buzzing. The Juul is one of the hottest e-cigarettes on the market. And as reporter Courtney Lockie tells us, the company's goal is to switch cigarette users by having enough products to satisfy users' nicotine cravings.
The Juul launched in 2015 and over the past year has generated $224 million in sales. It also captured 47% of the dollar market share of the total e-cigarette category, according to Nielsen data provided by Juul Labs. The devices are rectangular, flat, and about as long as the palm of a hand. Users snap on a cartridge with nicotine liquid and draw on the end to activate. In areas where the Juul is available, it's pretty much gone viral. The company produces about 20 million pods per month, but still struggles to keep up with consumers' demand. Among adults 18 to 24 years of age, the use of e-cigarettes has more than doubled from 2013 to 2015, according to the United States Surgeon General. Eaton High School principal Jay Tapia said that the Juul and other vape products have become an issue over the last year.
The dangers with this one is for a teacher or for a staff member that haven't seen, this just looks like a USB flash drive. And so for them to be aware that this is actually a smokeless cigarette is something that we need to make sure we inform our staff on what they're looking for.
A Juul starter kit comes with the rechargeable Juul device, a USB charger, and 4 pods. These pods come in packs of 4 with a flavor of choice and can range anywhere between $15 and $18. Since its launch, the Juul's popularity continues to increase as seen by market sales. The Juul has even been called the iPhone of e-cigarettes. According to Juul Labs, more than 500,000 smokers replace cigarettes with the Juul. But the FDA hasn't approved any e-cigarette as a safe or effective way to quit smoking. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention said that nicotine is a highly addictive substance and is dangerous for individuals' health. A Juul pod's nicotine content is 0.7 milliliters, which is equivalent to a pack of cigarettes or 200 puffs. Tapia also said that the idea of the e-cigarette being a healthier alternative is misleading to students.
I think part of the draw to these is that they're not a true cigarette, so they feel like they're going to be safer, but they're just as addicting and just as problematic as a true cigarette.
Just because e-cigarettes claim to be safer than tobacco products doesn't mean they're harmless. Juul Labs acknowledge that inhaling chemicals with flavoring agents can exacerbate asthma and other lung conditions. Reporting from Smoker Friendly in Greeley, Colorado, I'm Courtney Lockie, BearNews.
Juul Labs engage in clinical studies and are going through the process of submitting applications to the FDA. You might be one of the nearly 50 million Facebook users whose information was improperly used by a political consulting company. Wondering what this debacle means for you? Filling in for Logan Garcia, BearNews reporter Renee Ortiz is live in the studio with details.
Thanks, Ashley. If you haven't already heard, the Observer reported that information on nearly 50 million Americans was harvested and improperly used by the political consulting firm Cambridge Analytica. That's information like your activities, interests, check-ins, locations, photos, religion, politics, and relationship details. Now, the company was able to do this using Facebook's Graph API, the programming interface available to developers to extend Facebook's capabilities and incorporate them into their own applications. This comes years after Mark Zuckerberg used a vulgar expletive to refer to people who handed their data over to an early version of Facebook, which was then just about 400 Harvard students. Cambridge Analytica grabbed all this information through a personality quiz app that gathered not only details about the 270,000 people who took the quiz, but also their friends. Although this incident is generating outrage, this isn't the first or the only time political campaigns mine Facebook data for political purposes. Obama for America Integration and Media Analytics Director Carol Davidson tweeted about the campaign's ability to use Facebook's social graph to augment the campaign's email list. She said Facebook knew about the action but didn't stop the campaign's activity. Obama's 2012 campaign manager Jim Messina insisted that their Facebook use of data followed the company's privacy and end-user policies. Cambridge Analytica in turn used this data to create 30 million psychographic profiles about voters. And this came out in news over the weekend, but this scandal is now raising some concerns about how voters were influenced in the Brexit vote. For now, there isn't much you can do, though it's never a bad time to review the applications that have access to your data. You can do this through your Facebook settings. Ashley?
Thanks, Renee. This is certainly something to keep in mind the next time we post on Facebook.
And you know, Ashley, Facebook has lost up to upwards of $80 billion since this report was released.
And that could be due to all the people deleting their Facebook accounts. They've just lost complete trust in the company.
Definitely no consumer trust anymore. Well, coming up after the break, meteorologist Michaela Lucero has your full weather forecast.
And later, Parking Services is reaching out to students in an effort to relieve everyday hassles for commuters. Reporter Zoe Campbell has more.
Kids will spend 8 minutes decorating their little brother.
Brushing for 2 minutes now can save your child from severe tooth pain later. 2 minutes, twice a day. They have the time.
Welcome back to Bear News. I'm meteorologist Michaela Lucero. Right now in Colorado, Denver's at 41 degrees, Fort Collins is at 39, and Grand Junction is at 48. On campus, we're at 45 degrees with winds at 9 miles per hour. The country's warming up as we're heading into spring. Florida's at 82 degrees, California in the upper 70s, and parts of Texas are at almost 90 degrees. Tomorrow we'll be warming up and Colorado will feel those warm temperatures, but places in northern Minnesota and North Dakota are still in the 20s. Zooming in on Colorado, Denver's at 50 degrees tomorrow, northern Colorado will be at 60, and Pueblo at 65. Now here's a fun map to look at. This map shows the last freeze date that we'll have across the country. Colorado's not expecting our last freeze until mid-May. Let's take a closer look at Colorado. Fort Collins is seeing a little bit of rain and snow, and that's kind of made its way into Greeley, but for the rest of the night, we'll be cold and dry. The future radar shows not a whole lot's going on for the weekend, which will bump up those temperatures for Saturday and Sunday. Our 5-day forecast looks absolutely beautiful. Friday will be at 64 degrees, Saturday 53, Sunday for Easter will be at 62, Monday 70 and sunny, and Tuesday 65.
It's that time of year again. Elections for Student Senate are right around the corner and the candidates are busy getting ready. The election season's underway with the next open forum set for Monday, April 2nd at the University Center. Students can meet candidates for student body president and student trustee and ask them questions. They scheduled the meet and greet in Spruce Rooms A and B of the UC from 7 to 9 p.m. Student Senate also hosted meet and greets on Monday and Wednesday of this past week as the election draws near. Polls open Tuesday, April 3rd at 8 a.m. at the University Center, and students can also vote online using their URSA accounts. Voting ends Thursday, April 5th at 5 p.m. Additionally, at their last meeting, Student Senate discussed the possibility of having a key log roll and pool party at the Butler Hancock Rec Center. For those new to the sport, key log rolling is just what it sounds like. Participants run on a floating synthetic log, rolling it in the water. Attendees would be asked to bring donations, and the event is meant to benefit Bear Pantry. Well, whether you walk, drive, bike, or longboard to campus, parking is something most students have to deal with here at UNC. In an effort to improve traffic and congestion in and around campus, UNC Parking Services created a parking and transportation questionnaire to find out what students have to say about it all. You can take the 16-question survey online at the UNC Parking Services website. In light of this survey, Bear News reporter Zoe Campbell has you covered with all you need to know about the current state of parking here at UNC.
Parking. Some call it a headache, others call it a convenience. For many UNC students, it is a necessity to park cars using the UNC lot, but that is one luxury that does not come for free. In fact, students pay to park their cars in addition to paying for tuition.
If you're going to use the parking lots, you pay for it. if you're not going to use them, you don't have to pay for it. So rather than charging every student a fee for parking, they only sell permits to the ones who want to buy permits and park in the lots.
The price for an annual student parking permit is $285 and allows students to park in major parking lots on West and Central Campus and at the University Center. If a student chooses to park their car without a permit in the designated lots for annual permit holders, they are subject to receiving a parking ticket.
Well, a lot of people don't feel like they need to pay for parking, and some people just want to see if they can sneak by, and other people don't read all the signs.
The scope of parking has changed recently this school year, as the B lot has been permanently closed because of the construction of the campus commons. The commons will open in fall 2018, but the B lot closure has significantly decreased parking in and around the University Center. There are now under 100 spots in the A lot, with the rest being designated for hourly parking permits and electronic vehicle charging stations. Parking Services is working to improve parking and traffic in and around UNC. The revenue generated from annual parking permit purchases goes to the maintenance of the parking lots and to paying student parking enforcement. Eberhard says buying a permit is actually cheaper, costing just 80 cents per day.
Permit averages out to about 80 cents a day, so in the long run it's not a big deal. And if you buy a permit at the beginning of the year and put it on your student account, of course you can pay for it over time.
Parking Services is not to be feared. In fact, they're here to help.
Racking up those tickets gets really expensive, and we'd much rather give out information and help people avoid tickets than write them. If you have any questions, call here. We're happy to answer questions.
Reporting from Parking Services, I'm Zoe Campbell, BearNews.
Be sure to take the transportation survey to let your voice be heard.
If you've watched Jeopardy recently, you might have seen a familiar UNC face on the show. Journalism professor Lynn Clyde Alleman won $10,000 over a 2-day period.
Stay tuned next week for our exclusive interview.
It had a very interesting and entertaining turnout.
Yeah, it kept me on the edge of my seat while I was watching. Well, that's our show for tonight. Thanks for joining us this evening. Be sure to look out for us as a reporter covers weekly events around campus.
Until then, stay up to date on our Twitter and Instagram at UNCO BearNews.
Be sure to follow us, and we'll see you next week.